Winston. All right, people, it's time for another Viva on the street, and this is a doozy. Because if you're Canadian, you probably know less about the Freedom Convoy 2022 than if you live outside of Canada. Because fake news does what fake news does. It ignores until it can no longer ignore, and then it spins. Now, this story goes back to the vaccine mandate that Justin Trudeau thought proper to impose on truck drivers bringing goods across the US-American border. It was a couple of weeks ago, he announced that the vaccine passport, the proof of vaccination, the vaccine mandate, is going to be applied to truckers bringing goods across the border because, following the science, everybody knows that the solitary profession that is truck driving is the driving force of COVID. Everybody knows that, and if you deny that, you're a misogynist or a racist. Okay, so Justin Trudeau imposes this vaccine requirement on truckers, and some of them don't like it too much. And some of them start protesting. Some of them start what is now being referred to as the Freedom Convoy 2022, which is driving from British Columbia to Ottawa to protest the vaccine mandate. But now, getting back to the fake news, ignoring this trucker convoy that is now picking up pace and picking up participants literally and metaphorically. It left from Vancouver. It's driving across the country. People are lining the streets to show support. This is not just support for truck drivers per se. I mean, you have truck drivers who are unvaccinated who are protesting. Then you have truck drivers who are vaccinated but who are protesting in solidarity for their brethren. And then you have people lining the streets because this has become representative of a government thinking it owns the bodies, literally, of the citizenry. But the media has been ignoring it entirely, despite the fact that it raised millions of dollars on a GoFundMe page, which was apparently temporarily suspended. And apparently Facebook had temporarily shut down one of the pages that had 600,000 followers. So, you know, the media and big tech and the government, they're not working in tandem. All of these are just happy accidents, happy coincidences. Setting that aside, the media has been ignoring it, utterly ignoring it until they could no longer ignore it. And they cannot ignore this anymore. And so once they can't ignore it, they start to spin it, which is exactly what the CBC and the government subsidized, the liberal Trudeau government subsidized media is doing right now. Now they're recognizing that there's a big convoy going, and they are trying to, like they always do, depict the participants as extremists, eccentrics, racists, misogynists. And Justin Trudeau took to whatever he did today in his speech to say precisely that.
The small fringe minority of people who are on their way to Ottawa or who are holding unacceptable views that they're expressing do not represent the views of Canadians who have been there for each other, who know that following the science and stepping up to protect each other is the best way to continue to ensure our freedoms, our rights, our values as a country.
But now that they cannot deny this massive movement, now that people are learning about it, not from the state-sponsored mainstream media, but from independent journalists, the likes of Keenan Bexty, Rebel News, Ezra Levant, now that people know about it, now that they cannot deny it, they cannot ignore it, they have to spin it, and they have to try to pretend it is something it's not, and they're going to try to spin this and pretend that it's something akin to January 6th Capitol riots in the United States. They're doing it in real time. They are trying to hide it from you. And when they can't hide it from you, they're trying to lie to you to make it out to be something that it's not. And I got to tell you something. The next few days are going to be interesting.